everybody thinks it's easy to get into an injectable. So just tell me how your journey was, because everybody's journey is a little different, mine versus yours. And Alexa's. Absolutely. We're all kind of different.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we're nurse practitioners. As an NP, you have a background in nursing. Mm-hmm. So to inject in Florida, you have to be a physician assistant, a doctor, or a nurse practitioner. So in the beginning, I was a nurse. I was a nurse for 10 years. I did a bunch of different things, OR and like cardiac and neuro, a bunch of
So you were in
fun
the hospital.
Stuff. I was in the hospital. So
that's how you started?
Yep. So I started in the hospital.
Okay.
I always knew that I wanted to go all the way. I wanted to get my master's. I wanted to be a nurse practitioner. And ultimately, I wanted to get into aesthetics. So I took advice. I talked to a lot of people that were injectors and asked for advice about how I can break into the industry, because I knew it was so competitive.
It's so competitive.
Yeah. And so a lot of people told me try to get into dermatology or try to get into the OR, because maybe you'll have that OR background. It's procedural,
You can put it on your resume.
Maybe a plastic surgeon will like you,
Mm-hmm.
And get training, yada, yada. So I did get into the OR and did all of that, and then finally finished my nurse practitioner.
Mm-hmm. And so how did you go about finding a job? Because I feel like that's a job in itself.
Oh, that was so hard.
So how did you do it?
Actually, it's really funny because I tried so hard to get a job as an injector, and it's extremely difficult when you have no experience, because everyone wants experience and you're just trying to get experience.
Right.
So actually, funny story. I started applying for jobs. I applied for literally every job that existed on Indeed for an injector. I gave a cover letter, told them about how passionate I am, how hard I'll work to learn all the things. Well, I wasn't getting any interviews, no feedback. It was super frustrating. Mm-hmm. So actually, I ended up accepting a primary care job.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I know.
I don't even think I ever told you the story.
Oh, that's crazy.
So yeah, because I had applied for 6 months. So I ended up just, thinking, okay, well, I will take a primary care job for now. Mm-hmm. And then, I'll just keep working at it, right? Well, funny, I accepted the job, signed everything that I needed to sign, but I wasn't starting. Yeah, I didn't start yet. And then just so happened that one of the jobs I had applied to in aesthetics wrote me back a week or two later. It was we want to bring you in for an interview. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, definitely. Right. So I had the interview and said lots of prayers, and I got the job.
Yay.
So I took a course, to learn everything. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we all know, a course is not enough. You need continuing education, which I was offered on the job. So
that's nice.
So then I had to tell the primary care people that I was going to work for, hey, I'm so sorry, I'm not going to start, I gave them plenty of notice and everything, but I just told them I got a job, offer in something.
She got in the start of aesthetics, which is so hard.
Yeah, it's so hard.
I mean, my journey was, you finish your NP, and if you want to be an injector, that's all you can think about is becoming an injector. You don't want to do anything else.
No, once you have your mind on it,
and that's it. And so I'm like, all right, I am not going to accept any other job other than injecting, period.
Yeah.
That was my thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, I got hired at a weight loss place.
Oh, okay.
So I did weight loss for a little bit, and actually I made decent money. They paid me well. They were great.
Yeah.
So I was able to put that on my resume, and I took one course and was able to put that on my resume. Yeah. And then I made sure that I was the number one applicant when I applied to aesthetics.
Oh yeah.
Because if you have the Indeed on there at all times, just notices, then you can apply and be the first one. Because if you're the 50th,
they lose you. And that's literally what happened with my first job. They had already interviewed 20 people, and then they said that they had to circle back and go through applicants. So they had found my application again.
So if you're number 50, no, try to be number one.
Yeah, no, true. And that's how I got this job, actually. Yeah. I was number one applicant.
Yeah, so if you're number one, so I was number one, got hired, and then had 5 days of training, and that was it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is kind of scary. How did you feel about starting
scary.
out and injecting, because to me, like, I was terrified with only 5 days in training.
100%.
I thought it was a lot.
I mean, I just think you don't learn about any of this in school. Like, of course you learn anatomy, right? You learn, how the body works. All that background knowledge is so important to be an injector. But like, do you learn Botox? No. Do you learn filler? No. Do you learn like the areas where you can inject safely and, different techniques? No, you don't learn any of that. So
you're learning the basics.
Yeah. So it was super hard and, it's scary because it is someone's face. And obviously, like, there are things that can go wrong. There's risks involved. So, it was scary and intimidating at first.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm like, am I going to cause this patient an occlusion? I feel like that was the most, scariest thing is hurting or harming
100%
the patient, because that's not what you're trying to do.
Yeah,
you're just trying to like create something great.
Oh yeah, no, you're trying to do the opposite. You want people to like feel good and look amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's scary. It's definitely scary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
But and it takes time. It's just like anything. You have to build that confidence, and in the beginning, I think that's the biggest thing is like
confidence. And growing. Actually, I think growing is like was so hard for me in general. Well, I wasn't able to have social media for like 3 years. My first 3 years injecting, I had no social media because I wasn't allowed to. In which, every company is different, and I'm sure you injectors out there know what we're talking about. If you know, you know. But we understand from a business perspective, like that's what you have to do
for sure.
But it does hinder you from growing because social media is such a huge platform.
100%.
And everybody, that's where they reference you.
Oh, yeah.
Like is it, people thought I had no injection experience after 3 years.
Right. No, that's hard. And actually, very similar story with me. Like, I was injecting for 2 years and, then had to leave my whole social media, my whole following that I built and all my work like behind and starting over. Again, it's like
starting over is a lot.
It's definitely hard and rebuilding and proving yourself.
Absolutely.
And it's a whole thing. But it's all good,
But it's worth it.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
At the end of the day, we both love our jobs.
We love it. So we're happy.
And we love where we work.
Where we're at. Yeah.
And things are great. So we can't complain.
No, not at all. Yeah.
All right.
So stay tuned. This was episode 1 of Call Your Injectors. We're going to try to do this once a week, and we would love to hear feedback about like things you guys want to hear about. We want to like make you guys more comfortable with different procedures and like education. And
we want to make it fun and interactive. So this is real talk injecting. So we want to know the dirty. You want to know the dirty too, because it's not all glamorous.
Right.
I mean, it's mostly glamorous.
It is mostly glamorous.
But
there's definitely
there's some hardships along the way too.
100%. I mean, like we're doing good now, but it was hard to get here.
It was. Yeah.
All
right. So stay tuned.
Yes.